about Jeff Bezos stepping down as Amazon. Okay, here's why this one matters. Ready? Jeff Bezos, if you guys know who he is, I'm sure most of you probably know who he is now. He's the CEO of Amazon, one of probably the biggest company in the world now. And he's also the richest man in the world now. He's stepping down as the CEO of Amazon, and he started that in 1994, somewhere around there, a long time ago. And, well, not too long ago, considering how big it is. But he's a visionary for the future. He always says, people ask me what I'm doing next 3 months. I'm telling them what I'm doing the next 5 years because I've already planned 5 years ahead for everything. He also thinks about long-term problems, not short-term problems. He thought about e-commerce and food and groceries and everyday convenient items being delivered to your door in 1994 when it took a lot of other companies that are just starting to become big online 20, 30 years later. So his next big thing for Amazon really is to continue to grow and become big, but his big thing is Blue Origin, which is space. That's where his big philosophy, and that's where his big focus is space. So we're going to watch this video. So we'll do this again. If you're on YouTube and you're watching this, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're on Twitch, we're on Twitch every single day, twitch.tv/MarleyFicalora. We're about to watch a video about Jeff Bezos stepping down as CEO of Amazon. I'm guessing it's to pursue Blue Origin more, another one of his companies about space exploration, because that seems to be where the majority of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos' focus is going. But let's take a look and let's see. So here we go.
All right, he's leaving. He's leaving the company as far as day-to-day operation. Jeff Bezos has announced after quarterly earnings were announced at the company that he is stepping down as Amazon's CEO. He still will have a very active role in the company, as he says, but quoting from Jeff Bezos, right now I see Amazon at its most inventive ever, making it an optimal time for this transition, a transition that will have him taking on a role of executive chairman. If this should raise sort of parallels to you, the closest I could see is when Bill Gates stepped down from day-to-day operation of Microsoft to make way for Steve Ballmer in that role. It is not totally unusual, but it gets a lot of attention given Bezos' extreme wealth. And of course, he founded this company in a garage selling books. It's obviously a lot bigger than that today. The reins are now being taken over by Andy Jassy, the chief executive of Amazon's cloud business, and all of this on the heels of a very, very strong earnings report where the company generated more than $100 billion in revenue a little more than a week after Apple said it had done the same thing. Earnings were double what they thought they would be. The stock, which is already pricey, has kind of been all over the map in after-hours trading. Keep in mind, in the past year, it has jumped in excess of 84%. So a little bit of give back in after-hours.
I would love to hear them talk about Blue Origin. I hope they talk about that. I'm almost certain that's what Jeff Bezos is focusing on. He knows, life isn't forever. He's only going to live for a certain amount of years, and he wants to focus as much of his time, which he already has been. His real dream is space, and so I'm guessing he's really focusing on the sustainability of the human race, because he has pretty short outlook on the amount of time we have left. So I'm guessing Jeff Bezos is stepping into a full-time role on that, but let's see.
They're trying to digest what this could mean with the day-to-day operation of the company. You might recall as well when Bill Gates stepped down as day-to-day operating chief over at Microsoft, the stock took a hit. Stabilized under Steve Ballmer, has continued to soar post Ballmer in the new management and the new emphasis on cloud computing and the like. But again, this is a big development in the world of technology because Amazon, of course, has been one of the safer investment bets when everyone was sheltered at home, buying things like crazy from home. Amazon benefited appreciably, and given the guidance the company has been giving after hours here, it expects that to continue whether we're all sheltered in our homes or not. Larry Glazer, Mayflower Advisors here. Larry, I guess the surprise isn't that he's doing this and taking advantage of a company that's considered well-run anyway, but that he's doing it now. What do you make of this?
Neil, in normal times, blowout earnings from these tech giants would be the talk of Wall Street. These are the darlings of investors. They've driven the major market averages, driven 401k plans. If you have a pension, a retirement plan, chances are you have exposure to these very big companies, and you've benefited from it. At the same time, these are not normal times. You have shifting political sands in Washington, Neil. these companies benefited from COVID. It's not just Alphabet, Google, and Amazon, but a whole host of technology companies really benefited from the lockdown at the expense of Main Street, Neil. And we could see that maybe it doesn't get a lot easier. Maybe it doesn't get better. Maybe he's getting out on top. And that's okay. I mean, everybody's entitled to step aside. But going forward, these shifting political sands could put a target on these companies from a tax.
I will say, just in Amazon's like core business, which is selling consumer products, I think Shopify is coming for them. Walmart is coming for them. So in that part of their business, they're going to start to see some pushback and probably see some decline in their strength. I think that they will see growth in their AWS, their Amazon Web Servers, even though Microsoft's coming after them. But I think there are still enough places and they have enough money and enough strength that they can really control a lot of things. They have so much infrastructure now. But I really think just Bezos is transitioning again to a space program, probably sees that the big years of growth and them as being a leader is probably going to start to dwindle. He has a day one strategy where Bezos believes that every single day at the company needs to be like the first day you found a company. When you first found a company, you're very innovative, you're very enthusiastic, and you're not complacent. Will it be interesting to see what happens? Yeah, I wonder if Amazon can keep that day one philosophy with Jeff Bezos stepping back. But let's see.
And a regulatory perspective, and he knows it, and maybe it's going to be someone else's challenge to take that on. And that's why you're seeing these executive C-suite changes at this massive company.
You know, we always talk about the sheer wealth of some of these guys. Up until a few weeks ago, he was by far the richest human being on the planet. Now, second to Elon Musk. But all of that can change in the very always shifting sands of technology valuations. What's interesting here is what Bezos said about the catalyst for this. If you do it right, this is from his statement, a few years after surprising invention, the new thing has become normal. People yawn. That yawn is the greatest compliment an inventor can receive. When you look at our financial results, what you're actually seeing are the long-run cumulative results of invention. Right now, I see Amazon at its most inventive ever, making it an optimal time for this transition. So the big question will investors agree? Is it the same thing without him running it day after day, day by day? Does it make a difference that he's still very associated with the company, still owns by far most of its stock, so that nothing really changes? Or does it?
Look, Neil, transitions can be very difficult. Here's a visionary entrepreneur who built this company from scratch. He saw the future, right? He executed on that future. He's been 2 steps ahead of everyone else. As Wayne Gretzky used to say, see where the puck is going. With that said, when we look at other great big companies in the United States, they have not executed that transition well. Look at General Electric under Jack Welch. It was a disaster after he left. So it is not that easy to step into those big shoes at the same time when the expectations are so high. Look, investors haven't lost sight of the fact that this company makes a ton of money, and I think that's great from an entrepreneurial standpoint, from an earnings perspective. It means the expectations are very high to keep making that money. They had a $100 billion fourth quarter. It's amazing that they were able to execute on it. That's why the box has a little smile on it, right? But that box may not be smiling under new leadership because they've got to continue to innovate, continue.
Well, the box actually has a smile on it because it's A to Z. It's because they have everything from A to Z. But I like that he turned to a smile.
To grow. And the law of big numbers makes that really difficult. They have all of the tools in place, but the stimulus plan, policies in Washington are going to shift the focus back to Main Street. They want to even out the economy, right? And it's going to come at the expense of big technology firms. They're going to be asked to pay for some of this stimulus. They're going to be asked to be accountable for regulatory changes. So those are going to make the job more challenging. It doesn't mean they're going to go away. When Teddy Roosevelt broke up Standard Oil, Rockefeller made a ton of money. So he's still going to be the richest man in the world. He's still going to fly to space, and he's still going to have a big smile on his face. But investors need to recognize how challenging this can be.
All right, for the time being, the second richest man in the world, but we'll watch it very closely. Larry Glazer, thank you very, very much. For those of you just tuning in, Jeff Bezos, arguably one of the most successful businessmen or women that this country has ever seen, started his business in a garage. His family thought he was nuts, that he was wasting his time, that he left pedigree investment firms to go off in this lark selling books in his garage. Many, many times I've interviewed him over this period, including in that garage stage, and always scratched my head. How can you make a business of this? He famously one time told me, because this could be a whole lot bigger than books. The next chapter.
So they talked about space once. They said space one time. Look, I think he's going to be full focused on Blue Origin. Elon Musk is so focused on SpaceX and Starlink, his satellites, and that's where a ton of money is. Think about it. If you can knock out AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, even though Sprint got acquired by T-Mobile, you can knock all those companies out with just everyone being on the internet and no longer having to use cellular service, which is going to happen with Starlink. They're already beta testing that. He's probably thinking, whoa, that's a huge opportunity to make a lot of money, and also this opportunity for the greater good of humanity, which he believes is to live in space, and that's what he thinks. So interesting, Jeff Bezos stepping down. It's not shocking to me. I kind of figured he was going to do this, and I also think that we're probably going to see Amazon still do really well. They're so big, unless we see some sort of regulation. They're too big to fail almost.